we're going to be talking about the differences in that as we move forward. So that's a good assessment. Special shout out to Michael today, Michael and Steve. Now, while some of us believe that we've got everything under control, you get paycheck, you pay your bills, you tuck a little away in savings. Maybe you glance at a 401k once in a while. You might even feel like you're doing okay with this. You've got a decent job, a nice car, maybe a home you're proud of. But what if I told you that you're tracking your money all wrong? If the very things you use to measure your financial success is your salary, the cash in the bank, and the value of your house are actually meaningless, blinding you to what's really going on and steering you towards some really bad financial decisions, just like Michael said. It holds no value until you use it. Take, for example, individuals that's buying those really expensive paintings, works of art, stuff to that effect. Yeah, that shit's valuable to somebody, but it is only worth what someone else is willing to pay you for it. And the value of it to you is only as much as you can get the money accessible quickly. So like when we're liquidating these stocks, we said sell on Friday, we sold on Monday, it was sold by Tuesday. We've got money on Wednesday. That's liquidatable, as opposed to waiting 3 to 6 weeks to get your money. Or like you see on the movies where it takes a few weeks for them to find somebody to buy. Then you've got to do like a week-long transaction with trying to find the drop-off point and case the place and don't get robbed. You know what I'm saying? All of this other stuff just so that you can get the money. That is crazy. Oh, now here's something. Michael says estate sales. Low prices, sell online, and profits. Well, estate sales are good for you to buy the stuff, but estate sales, you're selling your stuff at a reduced rate. I actually knew somebody who was trying to sell a lot of his, it wasn't just art. He had like vases and all kinds of stuff that was manufactured by a specific artist. And I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head, but it was something that was like French, Italian, something like that. And if his artifacts would have been 100 years old, then his stuff would have been worth thousands. But because it was from the early 90s, it was worth hundreds. Now, in order for him to get maximum value off of these items, he would have to itemize each item, put it up for sale on eBay, and do a peer-to-peer sale in order for him to get the most out of it. He could do an estate sale, but what the estate's going to, the estate sale auction, they're going to get their cut. So what would happen is it would get sold to the highest bidder, which again, it's only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it. But if somebody's willing to pay for it in that estate sale, whatever they're willing to pay for, that's all you're going to get. So even though the item could be worth millions, if somebody's only willing to spend $500 for it, that's all it's worth. It's fucking $500 or $700. Now the other person might know somebody who will pay millions for it, but they'll get the money off of it. But all you're going to get is whatever they're willing to pay for in that estate sale. So when you're selling stuff in the estate sale, you're not necessarily likely to get as much off of it as if you were buying stuff off of the estate sale. You can get things at a deal when it's on sale. But if you're selling things online, like you said, you will get profits, because if you put it up there online on eBay or Marketplace or something like that, and you wait for the right person to meet your offer, then you'll be able to get a large quantity of stuff offline. Because like Donald Trump had those gold shoes during November, sold for $9,000 online. They're being sold at Walmart for $400. So if at the time somebody would have bought them $400 shoes off of Walmart, put them up on eBay for $9,000 when them shoes first came out, limited editions, they would have completely flipped their money. Now, not so much so. When TikTok was banned at the beginning of the year, individuals were able to take their cell phone and sell it online for 10 grand so that somebody else who wanted a TikTok app on their cell phone could buy your unlocked cell phone and use TikTok. Crazy. Then when TikTok got unbanned, none of those phones are valuable anymore because TikTok's no longer banned. Michael said, I have seen grand baby pianos go for $1. Shit. That's a loss for a seller, but that is a steal for the buyer. I gotta tell you. But it's scary though. But it's the reality for millions of people. Now, in today's show, I'm going to show you what's really happening, and I'm going to share a simple, powerful formula that will completely change how you see your wealth. And a lot like what Michael's been telling you guys, it's not what you think. Hold on. He says, I have bought a scarf for 50 cents and sold it for $100. That is good resale. And there's a difference, ladies and gentlemen, between retail and resale, because resale is when you're buying it for the sake of reselling it, and then you're going to turn a profit off of it. So you're looking at things that are valued higher than what they're being sold. You're picking them up for the reduced rate, almost like drop shipping, and then you're putting it back up for sale somewhere else for a higher rate, and then you keep the difference. That's actually a good thing to do. It takes a lot of work, but it's a good thing to do. Thrifters will do that. They'll go to auctions, not auctions, garage sales and stuff like that, and pick these things up and then go and clean them up and then put them up for sale in a thrift shop or online or something like that, and make more off of it than what they got it from the person who's selling it. Because in a garage sale, they're getting rid of the junk that they have no value to. And it's only as valuable as somebody's willing to pay for it. So if you negotiate, haggle it down, you can underbuy it, put a little bit of money in their pocket, bulk buy, take something that was allegedly worth a certain quantity of money and then throw in a few extra things that doesn't really have much value to the other person, offer a little bit more than what you would have gotten off the one thing. And then you get like 5 or 7 things at like 75% off at that garage sale, and then sell each one of those things for 200% more than what you would have bought it for at the garage sale, and turn a massive profit. And Michael says, it is what you save that matters, not how much you make. That's the other point that we're going to be getting into today. What you got left over, not how much you get. Because if you get it and spend it, you still have nothing. You can make $1 million a day, but if you're spending $1 million a day, you still got nothing tomorrow until you make that $1 million again. So yeah, you can brag about earning millions of dollars a day, but if you still don't got a pot, neither a window, yes, it's still broke. He said, I do paintings and the Chevron gas station and sell them for me. Life is fun. Oh, that's good. You be picking up paintings and shipping them off at the gas station. Look, anybody who sit on the corner and sell weed, y'all need to talk to this man, because this man right here is selling paintings at the gas station. And I can tell y'all, because we out here in Tampa, we have folks that they be selling rugs at the gas station. They be selling carpets, which is 2 different things. They be selling, like, they have whole clothing lines that's at these in the parking lot and stuff. Like, you could just buy all kind of nice stuff that was genuinely custom made. And these people are starting up businesses, pop up out of nowhere. And long as the sun is out, they'll come out there and they'll make some money, and they'll be out there all day, and they sell out a lot of the times. And it's pretty amazing, because right there on the corner, get you some gas, buy you some merchandise that you wasn't planning on getting while you're at the pump, throw it in the car, take it back to the house, and now you got something unique. That's a conversation piece, because ooh, that's nice, comes with an amazing story. Man, you would not believe where I got this from. I was at the gas station up the street getting some gas. It wasn't in Paris, it wasn't in France, and it wasn't expensive. And I want you guys to understand that what we're going to be talking about today, this isn't about a crazy spreadsheet or risky investment schemes. We're going to save that for another week. This is about one core equation that, once you get it, will change your relationship with money forever. It will give you a true, accurate score of your wealth and put you on a clear path to real financial freedom. So if you guys are ready to stop guessing and finally know where you truly stand, you need to see this. And I know Steve was telling us that he's like a trillionaire mindset. So we're going to be getting into the mindset of millionaires towards the end of the show. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. But think about this for a second. When someone asks you if you're good with money, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's income. We live in a society that's obsessed with the six-figure salary. Matter of fact, it controls dating now. Women want to see $100,000 men. If you're not a $100,000 man, you're not valuable. We see headlines about high-paying jobs and jobs that just assume that a big paycheck automatically equals wealth. $100,000, $200,000 a year salaries. Like doctors that have, funny thing, they have doctors that make $250,000 a year and still have like $50,000, $75,000 a year worth of malpractice insurance they have to pay for. You think they got a lot of money because they're a doctor, but once they finish paying for all the dues that it costs to be a doctor, they don't have that much discretionary spending after all the bills is paid. Michael says, being debt free is successful to me. And debt free, you don't owe nobody. You own all your shit. Matter of fact, you don't own shit. Your trust owns all your shit, and everything is paid off. That debt free, no credit card debt, no credit utilization there that to speak of. Yeah, that's when you're doing it right. That's when you're doing it right. When everything, the money come in, stuff gets taken care of, extra money left over, everything is owned, the money is separated from the assets, but there's more money coming in than money being spent. That's when you're doing it right. That's the Christmas tree right there. But this is the first and maybe the most dangerous financial lie that we tell ourselves, is that the more money that we're making on our job, the wealthier we are. It's what I call the income trap. Imagine two people. First, you've got, say Sarah. Sarah's a doctor who's making an impressive $300,000 a year. By society standards, she's the picture of success, right? She lives in a huge house in a fancy neighborhood, drives a luxury SUV, takes exotic vacations, and her kids go to private school. On the surface, she looks wealthy. Now, let's think about David. David's a plumber with his own small business. He makes a solid but much more modest $80,000 a year. He lives in a comfortable but normal 3-bedroom house, drives a reliable used truck, and vacations with his family at a nearby lake. If you had to bet, who would you say is wealthier? Almost everyone would put it on Sarah. Michael is smart. He's like, Sarah's poor, plumber wins. And everybody who would have said Sarah knows what she's doing got it wrong. I tell ladies this, and this is important. I'm going to segue on this real quick, ladies. Y'all look for these guys with the expensive cars. Y'all look for these guys with the expensive clothes. Y'all look for these guys with all this jewelry on their neck, and y'all think he's rich because he's got swag. He's got drip. That's what y'all youngins call it these days. He got drip. He got all this going on. But sweetheart, if he got $300,000 around his neck and all he worth is $500,000, then how much money he got left? If he were $500,000, because if he got $300,000 around his neck, all his money might be around his neck. He might not have no more money to buy lunch with. That might be real diamonds around his neck. But if his whole life savings is in the chains that's around his neck, he ain't got shit, right? Think about that. The expensive car, they G-Wagons and Lambos and Range Rovers and all this stuff. And yeah, those are some sexy cars to look at. But they're called car poor, where they have this expensive car, Their 95% of their life savings and income is in that car. And they live in the hood because they can't afford a nice house. They can't afford a better standard of living because they're putting on a persona with this expensive ass car. And a lot of times they don't even own the fucking car. It's a damn rental, $500 a day or more. And they're throwing away all this money to give off the persona that they're rich when they're away from the house. But when they're at the house, it's like Joe's apartment. Now, here's the part that you guys don't see. Sarah's $300,000 income comes with a mountain of expenses just to maintain the image. Her massive mortgage is $6,000 a month. Her lease is $1,200. Her kids' private school costs another $4,000. And if you add in property taxes, high-end groceries, designer clothes, and those vacations for Instagram, and her monthly spending is starting to become astronomical. On top of that, she has $500,000 in student loan debt from medical school. At the end of the month, with the huge income, there's not much left over, where she's living paycheck to paycheck, just on a much bigger scale. So just like Michael said, she poor as fuck. $300,000 and she's poor as fuck. Now, remember I told y'all before that roughly 95% of America is poor as fuck. That's what I mean by that. 23% of Americans make over 100,000 a year, but that's what it is. And the whiny kids, usually two of them, he ain't lying. Usually two of them, more often than not, one boy, one girl, and you wasting a ton of money on the girl, and then you wasting a ton of money on the boy's bad decisions, because the girls got demands, female everything, and then boys do stupid stuff, live dangerously. They got medical bills, they got property damage, they got probation. You know, you don't always have to deal with that with the girls, but with the hair, nails, and personal hygiene that females got going on after teenage years, like, girls are expensive. And keeping up with the trends, even more expensive, which is why I did that whole show on Saturday about teaching your children about financial responsibility, so that they are not prioritizing trends and brands. They're prioritizing durability and value, and not succumbing to the stupidity of their friends, so that they don't waste their wealth at a young age on impressing other people. Because the more money you got, the more people that's going to hover around you so that they can spend your money. But when the money is gone, you don't have too many people that will still hover around you when the money is gone. So instead of making superficial friends that, he said, no kings. That's right. So instead of having superficial friends that are only there because you got a lot of stuff, or because the stuff that you have is expensive, you have a bunch of friends that'll be there when you ain't got shit. That's the ones that you want to have, the ones that are with you when you ain't got nothing, trying to make something with you so that y'all don't stay in a broke position. Those are the best friends to have. It don't matter how much you got. If they're not satisfied with how much you got and they want to partner with you and legally find a way to make more money, make money for y'all, so that y'all can stop being at the level that y'all at and move up a level, that's the friends that you want to get. You want to keep those. But this lifestyle that Sarah has, it's a classic case of lifestyle inflation, where your spending itself is going to raise to meet or even pass your income. No matter how much money you're bringing in, you're always going to find yourself spending more money than you make. She looks rich because, 2-story house, big ass pool in the backyard, landscapers cleaning the house, expensive ass vehicles that don't get at the pump every other day, pumping gas into the car, but she's wearing name brand designer clothes. Her kids is wearing name brand designer stuff. The fancy trips that you see on social media, you just think that she looks rich, but she's running on a financial hamster wheel, one bad break away from total collapse. And this is what we had experienced with the COVID a couple years ago, is that it only takes 3 missed paychecks in a row and your whole life is gone. You go from being at the top of the hill to being right there on the sidewalk next to a homeless person, because all of your bills on a month-to-month basis cannot go 2 months behind. You start going 2 months behind. You miss a fourth check, where now you're 90 days behind. Credit cards is charged off, house is foreclosed on, rent is evicted, cars repossessed, loans defaulted on. No one will let you be 90 days past due on anything. So more than 3 missed checks and you fucked. And if you've already missed 3 missed checks, you cannot pay for 2 months worth of stuff off of 2 weeks worth of income. You can't. Even if you partial pay on everything, you don't have enough to meet 50% of everything that you owe, when 50% of everything that you owe is 1.5 months of everything. See what I'm saying? She got a $6,000 lifestyle a month. That's a $12,000 in 2 months. And if $8,000 of that is not coming in, she's trying to pay $12,000 worth of bills with $4,000 worth of money, when the minimum she can pay is $6,000. Some shit is about to come up missing. See what I'm saying? David, on the other hand, had been smart about it. His mortgage is manageable, $1,500 a month. His truck is paid off. If it breaks, he can park it, catch the bus. He has very little debt. He and his family live well within their means, which lets him save and invest a big chunk of his income every single month. So while Sarah's income looks amazing, her wealth is an illusion. David's income is less flashy, but his wealth is real and it's growing. The income trap is so tempting because it lets us justify our spending. We think, I made good money, I deserve this. But real wealth isn't about what you earn. Just like Michael said, it's about what you keep. An income is just a tool. It's not the scoreboard. Focusing only on income is like trying to win a marathon by measuring how fast you started. Damn. Marinate on that for a second. Because a marathon, this ain't a sprint. It's a marathon. And when you think about them triathlons, it don't matter how fast you came off that line. The last mile is the determiner, because you could have been first off the line and last one across the line. Don't let the start fool you. It's a vanity matrix that tells you nothing about where all your success will actually finish. And this is one of the things that people don't think about. The second part of this great deception is what I call the savings account illusion, because a lot of people love getting savings accounts. Yes, learn to pace yourself. You got to learn to pace yourself with your money the same way you got to learn how to pace yourself with your food. There are people who are born big boned, but obesity in the United States is based off of the accessibility of more food than what you need and the capability to consume it without discretion. Over in Asia, they got laws for obesity where people get fined significantly large quantities of money for being overweight. And that's one of the reasons why the largest majority of the culture is not overweight. Americans don't care. Greed is encouraged because the more you spend, the more they profit. So you can be overweight. When your overweight starts causing you health issues, what's going to happen? You're going to start spending more money on medical bills so that you can lose that weight or maintain your health with that weight, which is going to put more money into their pockets. So they don't really care. You know, why do you think wide body cars used to be a wide body kit added to a thin frame car that made the car look cooler because it had wider tires back in the day? Now, it is not a wide body kit where they're putting extra fenders on the car to make the car look cool. Now it is actually a fucking wider car. They went from mid-sized back to full size because Americans are fat. And then because the cars are so wide, they made the roads wider. If you think about a parking space that was designed back in the 80s and you try to park your vehicle in that same parking space, you're double parking because you're not going to fit in that space no more. See what I'm saying? That's the real deal. Like, people don't think about this. If you pace yourself, think about an all-you-can-eat buffet. Think about an all-you-can-eat buffet. How many people go to the all-you-can-eat buffet to eat 2 plates of food? Most of y'all is trying to go there and get 5 and 7 plates of food. You trying to get so full that you're not hungry tomorrow, so that you can get your money's worth off that $20 a plate, right? Greed. But if you paced yourself, you could have just made that food at the house and not been fucking greedy. Just think about that for a second, and saved you some money. Because with the Fit Chef recipes that I've been showing y'all every month, we only spending like $200 on groceries and cooking everything at the house, and we got food for days. We got so much food going on right now, we don't even have space to buy more groceries. We got to eat some stuff so that we can make room to buy more stuff. Now, a lot of people, even the careful ones, believe that the main sign of financial health is a big fat savings account. And that's not true. Having a pile of cash feels safe and responsible. And just to be clear, having an emergency fund is absolutely essential. But thinking a huge pile of cash is the same as real wealth is a huge mistake. Why is that? 2 words: inflation and opportunity cost. Michael says cheaper to eat at home. Top ramen, anyone? Look, now, let me tell you something about some top ramen: sliced up hot dogs, a little bit of cheese, and some hot sauce. You didn't did it up some. You didn't did it up some. You got your little bit of meat there. You got you some dairy. You got your little bit. You got your spice. You know, and then you can get top ramen for like 30 cents a pack. So you can't find these days any fast food joint that is selling a full meal for under $1. But I can tell you right now that most people cannot eat 3 packs of top ramen in one sitting. And they're 30 cents a pack, so 90 cents, and you got leftovers. Some folks like, hell nah, I ain't eating no top ramen. But some of y'all know about that top ramen because y'all used to make that goulash when y'all was locked up. So don't go knocking back that top ramen. That top ramen know what's going on. 1/3 in cash, the rest in assets. That's actually an interesting phenomenon, but truth nonetheless. It's true. Because what are you going to do with all that cash? The assets that you have can be leveraged for cash when you need cash. But when you don't need cash, you need the assets, and the assets that you need typically should be in line with your necessities. Maybe a few extras on top of that, but it should be in line with your necessities. See, Michael knows what he's talking about. Every day, the cash just sitting in your regular savings account is losing buying power. People don't realize that. This is one of the reasons why I started talking to you guys about the dividend rotation strategy. You're essentially making 3 times more money off of trading on a monthly basis using a dividend rotation strategy than what you would ever make. You're making far more, because even doing a sit still, like a buy and hold scenario with the stock option, you're going to be making upward of 20% interest off of the stocks, whereas in a bank, you're going to be making 0.064% interest, which is less than half a penny per dollar of interest per year on your money when you're leaving your money in the bank. So you would have to leave a few $1,000s in your bank to get $1 back. That's bullshit. Michael said, the assets should be paying rentals. But see, that's the thing. It depends on what assets you're getting, but you're right. Assets should be turning over revenue. They shouldn't just be there collecting dust. So it depends on what assets you get. But if you're getting rental properties, your assets should be generating revenue. If you have multiple cars, they have those rental car apps where you could put your cars up for rent and people can rent those cars. What is it, eToro or something like that, where vehicles that you're not using, you have 7 or 10 vehicles that you're not using and people can come and rent them. You have your primary vehicle. You maybe have one secondary vehicle in case your primary vehicle goes into the shop, but all the rest of the vehicles are being rented out because you don't need them. And then when you want them, they're not being rented out. Yeah, Michael says passive assets. You want stuff that's making money for you while you're not using it. You know, you got a townhome, or not a townhome, but you got like a summer home. You can rent that bitch out as an Airbnb, you know, stuff to that effect, where you're making capital off of these properties and other assets when you're not using them. People who buy yachts, they buy them big ass boats. What do you think they do with what? Think about this real quick. You imagine owning a yacht. You imagine owning this big ass boat, right? Which isn't free. The maintenance on it isn't free. But then imagine yourself. There aren't that many yachts out there. And you notice that the yacht typically ends up with the yacht party. I just want you guys to put 2 and 2 together, because this is what Michael's talking about. They rent them goddamn yachts out. And then they charge you cover. You know that $100 ticket to have the private white party on a yacht? Yeah, the owner of that fucking boat is getting the commissions off of that yacht party. They rent the damn boats out when they don't want to use them, when they don't need them. They renting these fucking boats out. So y'all think, ooh, I want a yacht and da-da-da. And all you gonna do, you personally might have that boat sitting in your backyard on the trailer hitch with the tarp on it, talking about I got a yacht. You could have had a fucking dinghy and had the same result. But see, the folks that got yachts, they yacht be at the harbor. They be scheduling days for the boat to leave the dock. And when the boat leaves the dock, there's like 12 people on that son bitch. Everybody put up $50 to $100 to get on the boat. That 12 people on that son, you just made $1,200. You made between $600 and $1,200 of profit just to back your boat out the dock. Come on now. Come on now. This is what these rich people is doing now. They don't make a move if they ain't making money off of it. And that's the difference between us and them. Y'all know, okay, some of us right now, we got folks that'll buy a car, not a car, an SUV. Some of us will buy cars, but they're not going to buy a two-door car. Oh, you're right. They got the rich people who don't even really own the yacht. They rent the yacht for the event. They know somebody who owns the yacht, but there is an owner. There's at least one owner of the yacht, and that owner rents it out to everybody else who wants to use it. You know, then they do negotiations where I'll lend you my yacht for whatever your event is. I can come to your event for free, you know, something like that. Or we can both do this together, co-host it and split the money. Even owns a yacht. Some of them will rent the yacht because it's cheaper to rent the yacht for the day than it is to own the yacht year round. Same thing. He's right. But think about this. A lot of us, when we buy a car, we don't feel comfortable with buying a little hatchback. Oh, it's too small. It's ugly. Blah, blah, blah. You want the 4-door so that your friends can sit in the back. You want an SUV so that more of your friends can sit in the third row seating. And think about this. How many times do you get gas money from every passenger in your vehicle? Think about that. You gas your shit up. You go and pick your friends up. You joyride your friends around town. Y'all do what y'all do. Y'all might go Dutch on stuff. Sometimes some friends might cover for you, but more often than not, never. Your friends riding your ride for free. When your car needs to go to the shop, oh, that sucks. They're not helping you pay for your maintenance. They're not helping you rebuild your transmission. And this is the broke mindset. But every time you back your car out the driveway, if you picking somebody up, they should be able to pay the fare. They should be able to slide you money like they slide Uber money. You should be able to get $6 to $10 per person off of the 5 seats in that car for y'all to go riding where y'all gonna ride today. You should be able to roll up on them with an empty tank and they take turns filling the tank so that y'all can go where y'all gotta go. When it's time for you to get your car repaired, since everybody using your shit on a regular basis, they should be chipping in on the vehicle maintenance. But they don't do that. But you know, you are the product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with in your life. So I mean, if if your friends ain't shit, you got to really think about this now. But true to life, this is the things that we don't pay attention to. So when we have our friends that come over to our house and hang out, they eat up all the food in our fridge, they drink up all the drinks at our house. Oh yeah, party time, blah blah blah. They go play the Xbox and shit. Now ask yourself, for those friends that come to your house on a regular basis, drink your drink, eat your eats, sit on your couch, use your bathroom, run up all your toilet paper stuff. How many of them buy groceries for your fucking house? I'm talking about the ones where they spend more time at your house than you spend at theirs. About as many of them as put gas in your car. Think about that. These are the mistakes that we make that cost us money. Entertaining others. If they're not helping, they really are not your friends. Keep your hands off my that's that Martin Luther King shit right there. That Malcolm X movie. Get your hands off my pockets. That's where that come from. Now, inflation is like a silent thief that slowly eats away at the value of your money. And if inflation is at 3% and your savings account is paying you 0.5%, which it's not, it's actually less than that, you would be losing 2.5% of your money. And the value of your money is going to go down every single year. Your statements looks the same, but what you can actually buy with that money is shrinking. Damn right, you broke us. And that's why I say, well, instead of you throwing a bunch of money into your savings account and it's doing nothing, put your money somewhere where your money is making more money. Right now, what are they saying? Around about 4% or so inflation costs for 2025. You need to be making 8 to 10, 15% interest from something every year to offset the inflation. Wherever your money is sitting at right now, it needs to be making 10, 15, 20% interest to offset the 4% interest so that you have a gain on whatever money is sitting still. And, you know, if you moving your money around in the stocks, it's not necessarily sitting still. I see you, DN. This channel is about he spelled that incorrectly. This channel is about this, that, and everything in between. Today we're talking about measuring your net worth. And then tomorrow we're gonna be talking about different countries that you can buy into. He said, isn't 2.5, it's 2.43. That's a good question. No, if it was 0.5% interest out of 3% interest, you would lose 2.5% interest. So that's the difference. Pimping ain't easy. Special shout out to Carlton. You would need 12 million to retire today. Shoo, or cash flow. That's a lot. That's a lot. Oh, he's saying 1005 over 1003 is 2.43%. Oh, I see the math. Oh, well, it looks like you are dividing in, looks like 3% into 5. But you're not, but that's averaging the difference between the two. When you're looking at the subtracting, if you're gaining 0.5%. And then you're subtracting from that 3%. That's a subtraction, not a division. And the difference between that is 0.5 minus 3. Or if you're doing fractions, 1/2 minus 3. And that's going to give you 2 1/2. And that's the problem. It's a negative 2 1/2 because you lost more than what you're doing. You're saying my dude isn't subtraction. No. What you're doing isn't subtraction. What I'm talking about is subtraction. If you have a gain of 0.5% of capital and you have a loss of 3% due to inflation, then you would be losing approximately 2.5%. But I do understand where you're coming from with a loss of 2.43%. And maybe your math might be a little bit more accurate to the claim, but when you're rounding to the nearest 0.5 cent, it's 2.5%. So, we can go with DN's negative 2.43% loss to be a little bit more to the accurateness of the values. But it's still the same. You're losing more than you're gaining. The emergency fund that felt so safe 5 years ago covers a lot less today if you had a certain quantity of money that you put aside for your emergency fund, but your emergency fund never grew in value. I would put a certain quantity of money in my emergency fund, and then anything over that amount, I would put it into the stocks, and that would be any dividends coming from that would be redirected into topping off my emergency fund to make it higher. Matter of fact, I might take a large portion of my emergency fund and invest it into the stocks so that I can generate a larger quantity of money for my emergency fund before I just park money somewhere in case of an emergency. See what I'm saying? However, if you find a way to only live off your stock options and you're making more money off of your stock options, he's saying negative 2.43 is the exact result. Okay, so running off of his more exact result, you are still losing more than you're gaining, because if you're gaining 0.5% and you're losing 2.43%, then you're still losing far more than you gained. Depends on their risk factors. Well, no, your risk factors are going to be how much you're willing to lose versus the quantity of time you have to lose it. But when you're talking about money that's sitting still versus money that is gaining value in the same speed of inflation, where you still have the same spending power, it's not necessarily about risk factors. It's about the lack of spending power over time for the same quantity of capital. Imagine a house that was valued at $40,000 20 years ago isn't going to have the same value in inflation today. A $3,000 car back in the 60s is not going to be a $3,000 car. You could buy a Mustang back in the day, brand new off the lot, for $3,000, and now a Mustang brand new off the lot might be $30,000. So the fact is that what your money is going to now is nowhere near what your money was able to cover back in the day. Like you should be able to fill your gas tank with a nickel, but now you can't. Remember when gas used to be 87 cents for 87? Now gas is almost $3 for 87. Like the less money goes a little bit further. I always do my math before jumping in. Hey, I appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. It says, but if you invest in treasury bonds, then you don't lose money. Well, if you invest in treasury bonds, you don't gain as much money as you would if you invest in other more volatile scenarios. So in that scenario, then Michael's correct. Depending on your risk factors, you do want to be careful with what you're investing in, because if you don't have that to lose, then you don't want to go there. Treasury bonds are safer and they're right now operating at around 4 to 5% interest on treasury bonds, which is higher than the bank at 0.064%. So the treasury bonds are matching inflation or increasing in comparison to inflation. So the value of your money would go up in treasury bonds faster than it would be sitting still in a bank account. So both of these guys got the right idea. I definitely would lean on either direction. Remember, wages at $1.69, $1.68 per hour. Bro, you got some states like Louisiana that still got minimum wage at like $6 an hour, like $5.75, $6 an hour. Like they have not quite made it to $9 and $10 an hour for minimum wage in some states, right? Now you got some states that's arbitrarily offering $15 an hour, but the state mandatory amount is not yet $15 an hour. But you go to California, people are like, oh man, $45 is not enough. So that inflation is something crazy. He said Michael is old. Look, me and Michael are old school, bro. Me and Michael are old school. So if you're a youngin' and you know something, DN, and that means that you have paid a little bit of attention to somebody. Somebody's been providing you some information in some places, and I think that is fantastic. He said, are you all my kids? You never know. I mean, for some reason, over the past 3 weeks, I've been having a large following over the age of 65, and I love it. We did have for a long period of time that our following was over the age of 35, but now we got a large following that's upward of 65, and I'm like, hey, somebody cares about their money. After you reach a certain age, the TikTok dances don't make no fucking sense. You know, so we realized that the money that we put in the bank a long time ago, it's not a solid foundation, and it's melting ice. It's so insignificant to us now in comparison to what it was when we first put it there, that it's like melting ice cubes. And then there's the massive opportunity cost. Money sitting in low yield savings accounts isn't doing any work for you. Real wealth is built by putting your money to work, by buying things that grow in value or make more money for you over time. Like when Michael was saying, buy real estate. Buying no, what do you mean take your wife? See, if you're going to make money off of it, you have to have passive income off of their possession of your wife. If they pay you, not only do you save money because you're no longer spending on her, you're also receiving a dowry for their possession of her. And in some situations, headache free. Now, if you're buying into real estate, he said, what corner do you want her on? When you're buying into real estate, if you buy and hold the property, whether you use it for a rental property or not, the value of the property increases over time as long as you maintain the property. So what you would prefer to do with real estate is rent out the property so that the tenants that are utilizing the property are keeping up on the property, which keeps your property value high. Also, being an income generating property, that property actually has more value than just an empty house, as long as your tenants are keeping it in good condition. So you can, he said, real estate have liquidity problems. Isn't so easy to sell a house, especially a high value one. I was just about to get to that. You're not buying the house so that you can liquidate the house. This isn't a fix and flip. This is a buy and hold. And when you buy and hold the house, you're not trying to sell the house. You're going to leverage the house for a cash loan, and that will give you the liquidity to do whatever it is that you want to do. So if you have a house with no mortgage on it, or if you have a house with a first mortgage on it, you could take out a second mortgage on the house and take the capital from the second mortgage and go make the purchase that you need to make. Or in some situations, you can utilize that liquidity off of the house to be your emergency fund. So if you've got a $500,000 house or a $250,000 house and you need 50 grand, and you have a clear deed on your house, you can call up the mortgage company, mortgage your house today, have 50 grand in your bank by tomorrow, and bond your homeboy out of jail. Just trying to no diddy. And there are a lot of locations where houses lost value, like in Chicago and Detroit and in Florida and in California when the motherfuckers burned to the ground. But that doesn't change the fact that if you own the property and the property is still in good condition, you can leverage it for a percentage of the value of the property, even if you're not getting 100% of what you paid for the property originally. So the key to that is the long-term possession of assets gives you other things that you can leverage for liquid assets, as opposed to liquidating them for capital gains. You're not trying to sell off your property, your assets, in order to get disposable income. You want to leverage your property and your assets to gain cash loans that can pay for the stuff that you need to pay for. And then the cash stocks that you got pays off your cash flow. That way you keep your stuff, and then the profits coming off of your cash stocks is covered on taxes, because when you're paying towards a loan, that's a debt. So the profit from the stock is offset by the cost of the debt, and then you end up having a zero balance, and then you don't owe taxes. So you'll find that billionaires have $1 billion of debt offset by $1 billion of profit. They don't need for nothing, but they owe as much as they make. So they don't always have to pay taxes. And if they do pay taxes, it's very little in comparison to how much they make. It's a long-term investment, like Michael said. Or you can just sell it if you want to. It gives you moving room. It does. It gives you a lot of room to flex. If you're trying to liquidate all your assets and move to another country so that you don't have to monitor and maintain those assets, you can do that. Or if you're making enough money to pay somebody to manage everything for you out of your profits, then that person can manage your assets in America while you're in another country, and you can still live good and still have accessible assets in America that you can leverage in case you need capital in another country. And since you're leveraging the asset, not liquidating the asset, you will always own the asset, and you can take the profits from something else to pay off that loan. And then you still have that asset to liquidate again, because you only have a mortgage when you run the mortgage on it the first time. You didn't pay the mortgage, but you're taking out another mortgage on a property. That's a second mortgage. When you pay off the mortgage in its entirety, there's no mortgage. So then if you get another mortgage on the property, that's a first mortgage because you only owe one person. That's the difference. People don't think about that, because mortgages usually run like 30 years, and it 10, 20, 30 years, and people don't pay them off right away. But if you clear off that mortgage before you need it again, you're not taking a second or third mortgage. And there are some deductions in there involved with taking out second and third mortgages. Well, first and second mortgages, not third mortgages. Or you can turn it over to a property management company. Exactly. 10% per month, which now you walk away from the property and it runs itself. And ironically, the property manager is managing the income and maintaining the property, keeping up the value, and you can still mortgage the property and do whatever you want to do with the property while they are turning over the revenue off the property. So you can still be getting money off of stocks, still be getting money off the property, and still be able to, at any point in time, get extra money. He said, let's go fishing. That's a fantastic idea. It's been a while since I gone fishing, and you'd be able to make you some money in more than one area. If you think about it, you're still getting a rent. You still own the property, and you can get extra cash on the side. You can actually pay yourself in advance by doing that. You can take a massive loan out on the house, have the tenants pay on the loan, use the massive loan to buy the things that you want and need. And then because the tenant is paying on the loan, you don't even have to worry about what's going on. You could have your property manager take their 10% out. You could put like 15% aside for renovations, and then you could put the rest of it on the loan and just walk away from the deal, because if you took out the $250,000 already, you got what you wanted out of this property, and everything else is going on the loan. And it is what it is. It's a self-sustainable system now, but you already got your cut. Some real estate investors do that, and they take that extra $250,000 out, and they'll go expand and buy another property and do it again. And out of the $250,000, they might put 50 grand in their pocket for to live off of and put the 200,000 on another property and continue to expand that way. And you'll see some of those real estate investment trusts do the same. It's a good strategy. It just requires strategic insight. Recognizing, though, by keeping too much cash on the sidelines out of fear, you're giving up years of potential compound growth, which is the most powerful force for creating wealth. And a big savings account doesn't make you wealthy. It just makes you a little less poor every day. That's something that people don't think about. Or build a cabin. You know what? I've always wanted a cabin in the woods. I wanted a cabin in the woods until I seen that movie Yellow Jackets. And then I was like, hold up. Because the woods be haunted. If y'all ain't see that movie Yellow Jackets on Netflix, I watched the whole season. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. Like the original owner got. These high schoolers took over the cabin, and then they were stranded out there, and they stayed there. It was like a modern day Survivor. Like if y'all remember the movie, was it Alive or Staying Alive or Survivor? It was, well, when they crashed the plane into the mountain, and they was out there eating each other, trying to survive until they got rescued. They didn't, in 2025, they didn't remade that same kind of movie, and they got these kids fly out there to the woods, and the plane crashed in the woods 600 miles off track. How the fuck a plane fly 600 miles off track and then crash? Bro, y'all done did something stupid. But yep, it's worse than Freddy. Then the when they crash, one of the chicks destroyed a transponder, so can't nobody find them. Then these kids get there and camp up in this cabin, and for some reason the woods is talking to one of the kids, and everybody is getting knocked off. Somebody tried to leave in a plane, the plane spontaneously blew up. You know, somebody tried to take the river to go back to safety, got ate up by a wolf. Half the face is gone and still alive though. And then they just huddled up in this cabin, and they turned themselves into this weird behind cult. And then they just started trying to eat each other. Yeah, the soccer team. Yeah, the soccer team. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And they ate the girl baby and stuff. I'm like, come on, bro. They it was crazy. But after I saw that, I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe we need to have a little bit more than a cabin in the woods. Might feel a little bit safer with a bunker underground. Shoot, in case of a zombie apocalypse. It's weird. But that was a good series though. Now, talking about this money not making the money that it needs to be making, this leads to the last most obvious part of the deception, because we got a lot of things we're supposed to be talking about today, but we got off track quickly. The look rich syndrome, which is what we were talking about earlier today. Our culture is obsessed with the symbols of success, and that's why I tell the ladies about, like, y'all be getting got with them gold digger videos because y'all are chasing the symbols of success: a luxury car, a fancy watch, a big house with a perfect lawn, you know, name brand clothes, and, you know, street gear, the drip that y'all talk about, youngins. And we're taught to think that these things equal wealth, but more often than not, they aren't symbols of wealth. They're symbols of debt. That brand new $80,000 electric car is a sign of it. It's not a sign of riches. It's a sign that a $1,000 a month car payment for the next 7 years is what that person got. That beautiful new kitchen wasn't paid for with cash. It was financed with a home equity loan, piling more debt on top of the mortgage. You know, the clothes. Look, he about to get on them clothes. My clothes come from estate sales. Ooh. So You got them cheaper than at the thrift store then. Folks that be buying like $350 pair of Jordans, they're fucking sneakers. Yeah, they fit good if you play basketball or whatever. But $350 for a pair of shoes, when you can buy you a pair of shoes for $35, you can buy you 10 pairs of dress shoes. If you get you some really good dress shoes, you might be able to buy you 3 pairs of designer dress shoes for the price of 1 pair of Jordans, and be able to get into more places, because they got some places with dress code you can't wear sneakers. Yeah, them Halo loans. Some Halo loans are something else. But this is what we mean to be house rich or cash poor. And millions of people are in this exact same spot. They have high value assets on paper, their home, but they have zero financial flexibility, because all their cash is eaten up by the cost of keeping that asset and the debt that comes with it, which is one of the reasons why your standard of living in America typically takes up more than 68 to 70% of your household income. I got to see what they're doing with that. In those situations, there are what you got going on? He said the thrift shops even hems my pockets for free. So what you're telling me is that you can go to the estate sale, get you some clothes, go to the thrift shop, get them hemmed up, and not have to take them to the tailor. Let me tell y'all how that's the lick right there. That's the lick right there. Because the only time that I have been able to find somebody that'll hem some clothes is if I'm going to either a dry cleaner that has a sewing center to it, or if I'm specifically taking it to a tailor, and now I'm paying almost as much money to tailor the clothes as it costs to buy the clothes in the first place, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't pay attention to repair the clothes that they have. They would first get rid of it and go buy something else, because the cost to repair the outfit is almost the same price as buying another one. But if somebody can hem it up for you for free, just stitch it a little bit, get that little gap taken care of. It's the clothes are still good for another, because just one piece of string, one piece of thread came loose on the outfit. And if you just put that back in there, that outfit would be good for another 10, 15, 20 years, or however long it's existed already. And think about living this type of lifestyle. These individuals are one job loss away from losing the very thing that makes them look wealthy. Because like I told y'all, in COVID, so many people was being evicted, getting foreclosed on, because all it takes is to be unemployed for 2 or 3 paychecks and you lose everything. These days, with the way things are right now, you're living paycheck to paycheck. If you had to lose your job and you had to take 90 days to change jobs, you would lose your whole house. So when you put these 3 things together, the income trap, the savings account illusion, and the look rich syndrome, you get a recipe for financial stress and bad choices. You work harder and harder to make more money, only to watch it all disappear. You feel this constant low-level anxiety because you know something isn't right, and you feel like you're treading water, but can't figure out why you aren't getting anywhere. And this confusion is why you've been looking at the numbers wrong. It's time to change all of that. Millionaires do not dress fancy. Only fools do. That's smart. Because I've had a lot of people come and tell me, oh, man, you look poor. I said, and that means I'm doing it right. Hey, cheap suit. I said, that means I'm doing it right. Wealthy people do not dress fancy for that. Yeah, they do have expensive taste. They do have some expensive clothes. They do have occasional events where they might wear a $50,000 Ralph Lauren, or they might wear a $5,000 Ralph Lauren. But, the fact is, more often than not, they have plain looking clothes, even if it's designer. Look at Donald Trump's suits. They're not cheap, but you can't tell his suit from my suit when his suit might cost 10 to 15 times more than my suit, but he's a billionaire. So if he spends $10,000 for a suit, that's a drop in a bucket for him. That's like buying a $10 a suit. Him as a billionaire is not spending $1.5 million for a suit. That's what poor-minded people do. Think about all the rap artists that $50,000. What happened when one? I think Jay-Z bought Beyonce an island, and she bought him like $150,000 watch or some shit. Who the fuck is walking around? You cannot tell time with a $15 quartz watch. You need $150,000 diamond encrusted watch. Where, ladies and gentlemen, the value of a diamond encrusted Rolex is less than a plain freaking Rolex. Just want to point that out. Really, you're just plucking all the diamonds out of the watch and getting that, because that's all that's there at that point. But it's the principle of the fact you're wasting money on the look, right? Which is one of the reasons why a lot of celebrities and a lot of artists are always out there doing those bullshit ass gigs on the sidelines, because they're trying to make up for the debt that they occurred under their name, because they don't really have that much assets. Individuals that made a one-hit wonder record, disappeared for the music biz, and has never been seen or heard from again, they made their money, and some of them still living good off the assets, off the equity, because they did not waste the money. But the other ones that's doing remakes, remixes, back end deals, commercials, all of that stuff, they not in them commercials because they won't be there in them commercials because you're gonna give them $100,000 to cover the spread. That's why they in that damn commercial. Michael said, it will get down, it'll go down in value. And he said, scrape it for the gold. Well, if it's diamond encrusted and platinum, I don't know if you're going to be able to scrape it for the gold, because once you bend all that metal up in order to get the diamonds out of that bad boy, you might just have to take the rest of it and just throw it in the thing and melt it down and do whatever you. So if income, savings, and stuff aren't the right way to measure wealth, what is? The answer is surprisingly simple. It's been the foundation of accounting and wealth for centuries, but for some reason, it's not taught in our schools, and that's why we're covering it today. And most people don't understand it. Your true financial health, your real wealth score, all comes down to the relationship between two things: your assets and your liabilities. Forget everything else for a minute. This is the whole game in the simplest terms. Oh, you talk about the FICO score. In a way, yeah, but it goes a little bit beyond that. But now you can see how they calculate your FICO score. Assets are things you own that put money into your pocket. Liabilities are things that you owe that take money out of your pocket. That's it. That's the entire game. And if you're trying to get your FICO score to gauge your wealth, I just want to talk about that real quick before I go any further. I'm for it and against it at the same time. Those of you that want to live a life off the grid, you're going to hate what I'm about to tell you. In order for your FICO score to look sexy, you're going to have to report to the 3 major credit agencies that actually publicizes all of your shit, all the stuff that you got. So you would have to tell them every car that you own, every house that you own, all the credit cards that you have in your possession, all of the capital that you make, all of the rent, light, gas, and mortgage that you pay for. And they will calculate the amount of cash that goes, if you're going to report all of your bank accounts, and they're going to calculate the amount of cash that goes into your accounts versus the amount of expenses that come out of your account. They're going to put your entire budget online for public access. When people do a credit check, that's what they're looking at. They can see every place that you've ever lived, every account that you've ever fucked up, and how much money you have to pay for revolving debt on a regular basis, which shows your monthly expenses, which then they can tell you if you can afford something based on how much money you're claiming that you make or that you can prove that you make versus how much they know you have to pay for based on what is being reported to the 3 major credit agencies. Or, which also means they can find your ass. They can go to your last known address, which is the last address you paid the rent for. or you can flip the script and you're going to have a little bit lower of a FICO score, but have nothing on your FICO score besides whatever credit cards that are arbitrarily reporting to them. Michael says, like a house you still live in is a debt. If the house is a rental, it's an asset. That's correct. If you're paying mortgage on a house that you're living in, that's a debt. But if the house is owned, it's still a debt because you have maintenance costs, property taxes, maintenance fees, property insurance, and then in some scenarios, HOAs, utilities, stuff like that. But if somebody's paying for that, then it's an asset. And the background checks. Yep, that's the financial background checks, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, your financial background check could negatively impact your ability to get a promotion in certain jobs because upper management counts money. And if your ass can't count money for yourself, how the fuck can you count their money? People don't think about that. So a lot of times you got to fix your credit score before you ask for a promotion. People didn't know about that. How many times you've been married? Me, none, because that costs too much unnecessary spending. If I end up getting married in the future, it would likely be a simplistic courthouse marriage, probably from, odds are, a chick from the Philippines who will give me 15 to 20 years before she gives up on the situation. And if I can't make it work in 15 to 20 years, it is what it is. He says, so you rent. No. I've already talked about that. If you dating these females, you renting them. No. Actually, I have made it a point to focus on the grind. I want to get the wealth up so that the quality of woman that I'm looking for, I can actually gain access to. If I just aim for whatever's in my general vicinity, there's a likelihood that I'm not going to achieve what I'm looking for. And I told you guys before, if what you want isn't where you're at, you got to go somewhere else. So if I'm looking for a more traditional woman in a Western culture, I'm not going to find that as easily. They are here, but they're harder to find. So instead of me wasting my time trying to entertain individuals that I'm not interested in, I would gather myself so that I can go to a different location where I can find more traditional women. That's going to mean that those individuals that are looking for a traditional man that is going to be that financially responsible individual, I'm going to be dictating some terms, but I'm taking into account the best interest of the people that I'm dictating terms for. Those individuals, I'm going to make it make sense to. They're going to come and see me. Individuals that want to be the boss and not pay the cost, I'm not interested in them. The ones that want to be tamed, I'm not interested in them. The sassy ones with the neck swirl and all that, I'm not interested in that. The ones with the all of this and all this, I'm not interested in them. The ones that gotta like reach for the sky while they talking to you, I'm not interested in them. The ones with 16-inch long fingernails, I'm not interested in them. So I'm not renting that because that's a waste of money. I need somebody who's going to be on my side, that's going to be looking at my capital and say, hold on, let's not buy a new washer and dryer. I'll fix it while you're at work. Just buy the parts. That's the kind of woman I'm looking for. Let's not buy a new car. I'll fix the one in the yard. Just go buy the parts. That's the one I'm looking for. The one that's too cute to vacuum the floor, nah, that's all right. The one I got to put a ring on her finger for her to make me a sandwich, nah, that's all right. Because I go find one in another country that'll cook for me, my dogs, and my dad at the same damn time and have no problem with that shit. You know, you got to get what you pay for. If I'm renting one, I'm going to make use of it. You feel me? He said, I just smile and wink and they come running. Let her bring her own capital. Well, yeah. But you got some of these females that believe that because they make 30, 40,000, 42,000, the average, especially the minority women, 42 to 45,000 until they're in their 40s, and then they might get to about 48,000, where men are between 52 and 55,000, and the women want $100,000 man because the women can't afford to live on their own because they don't have the job choice that pays all of that money. There are $100,000 and $200,000 a year women, but the average low income woman is the hardest one to appease because they're broke, they struggle, and they came off the struggle, and they're highly demanding because they want to marry into the good life where they don't have to struggle no more. That's not how life goes. And the only way that they're going to be able to meet their own individual expectations is if they have the grind mentality and they find a man with the grind mentality, and they're going to look, he said it sound like their problem. Women whine, men just replace. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. So instead, if they want to meet their goal, what they would have to do is they would have to have that grind mentality, find a man with the same grind mentality. So you're not looking for a rich man. You're not looking for $100,000 a year man. You're a $45,000 a year woman. You're looking for a man that's between $40,000 and $55,000 a year that's grinding like you grinding. And if both of y'all can live at your $45,000 a year income, his $50,000 can be invested somewhere where y'all can put away 50 grand a year. If you flipping 50 grand a year in a stock option that's getting you 100% interest back or 75% interest back, where you could be turning back $25,000 a year worth of profit off of $50,000 of investment, and you do that every year, you're creeping up to 500 to 1,000, between 500 and $1 million inside of 10 years. So you stick with somebody where y'all can live low for half a decade or for a decade, and then y'all can live rich for the rest of y'all life. Instead of, do this math, ladies. If a woman dates a man and 41% of his income goes towards the woman, when a woman leaves a man, 23% more cost is for the woman. The difference is about 17% of income. If she only needed 23% of the 41% that he was spending on her, the other 17% was being flushed down the toilet with frivolous spending to entertain her. Now, if you think about that, ladies, no matter what kind of man you got, if he's buying you a bunch of bullshit that you're going to look at, smile at for a day or two, and then walk away from that item, that's a waste of money. That's 17% of money he don't got to spend on you. He could have been investing in that. He could have been investing all of that. So a man's income should only go up to 23% that a woman's income goes down when she loses the man. That's when she's not allowing the man to waste his money on anything. Plain and simple. It's supposed to be the laws of alchemy. What you put in is what you get out. But if you're gaining 23% income from dating a man, and the man is losing 41% income by dating you, then that means somebody's wasting money, because your bare necessities is inside of your 23% gain when you drop the man. Think about that. He said, I got the nursing home for dates. Oh, he going to the nursing home for dates. Look, if you go to the nursing home, they're not even gonna remember you, so they ain't gonna be mad later. And then you get on the wheel because you're the only person coming to visit. But if y'all pay attention to the entire game that we got going on here, your goal is to make the assets column grow way faster and bigger than the liabilities column. So wealth is built in the widening gap between what you own and what you owe. So let's get more specific, because figuring out what really counts as an asset is where most people get tripped up. A closer look at assets, the pillar of your wealth. Assets are the things that work for you, even when you're not. They're the economic resources you control. So let's break them down. Cash and cash equivalents. This is the easy one. The money in your checking and savings account, CDs, or money market accounts. It's main job is liquidity, having cash ready for immediate needs and emergencies. Like we said, you don't want too much for your wealth here because of inflation, but you do definitely need a healthy emergency fund, usually 3 to 6 months of living expenses, as your foundation. Now, if you're trying to cover the spread to make sure that you're good, you might want to have somewhere around 12 to 18 months of living expenses, because with COVID, we was out of work for between 9 months and 18 months. We was unable to go back to work. So if you're trying to prepare for something like that again, you might want to have a year to 18 months aside. Likewise, when I was telling you guys about the mini retirement fund, if you wanted to quit your job, travel to a different country and live there for a year and then come back and find you a new job. If you had 18 months worth of expenses and then your job got that frustrating where you had to say, fuck this shit, I'm out, you could throw up the middle fingers, hop a plane, fly to another country, be gone for 12 months, come back with 6 months to find you a new job before you run out of money. That whole year that you're living in another country, you could be finding another job, generating income, especially if you're like me and working off a computer, which would extend your vacation time. You could essentially learn something that you could end up make money for you while you're unemployed, so that you can start considering yourself self-employed. And then when you come back to the States, you have your standard of living still there waiting for you and a stable income coming in before you start running out of money. This is your financial defense. Number 2 is investments, your growth engine. This is probably the most powerful way to build long-term wealth. This is where your money starts making more money. Retirement accounts is one of the first ones that you guys got to get your hands on. This is your 401k, your IRA, your Roth IRA, or a similar plan. Think of this as super assets because it often comes with perks like an employer matching it, which is free money, and tax breaks that speed up your growth. If you're working for yourself, you're not going to get that because you are the employer, but you will still get some tax breaks. Taxable brokerage accounts. This is where you own stocks, bonds, and ETFs outside of retirement accounts. These are your soldiers on the front lines, growing in value and sometimes paying you dividends, which is what we were doing earlier with dividend rotation strategies. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna let that one slide because that was pretty funny. But why are you in a room with 57 of them though? That's a Diddy party, no lie. You've got 57 of them in, and you wow. Okay. So back to business. If you own a business or even a piece of one, that's a huge asset, because business ownership is going to be another thing we want to pay attention to. A profitable business can be one of the greatest wealth building machines there is. Oh, him saying that he's not getting too much done tonight? Oh, no, I got a lot of things to do. I'm covering the spread on the list. Well, actually, I got a lot more to cover. I'm covering it slowly today, but there's going to be a lot more things that's going to get done the rest of tonight. Because I actually have a couple contracts to cover, but they're not expedient, so we can get through the rest of this. No worries. Real estate, as we've discussed, this includes the house you live in and any other properties you own, like rentals or just dry land. Real estate is a powerful asset because it can go up in value over time and also bring its rental income in as an additional value to you, an asset you can use while it grows. But, and this is key, the mortgage you have on the property is a liability. We'll get to that in a second. Valuable personal property. This is a category that is tricky, and people often overestimate what their stuff is worth. It is not how much it is worth to you, it is worth how much somebody is willing to buy it off of you. This includes things like your cars, jewelry, art, and collectibles. While they are technically assets because you can sell them for cash, most of them are depreciating assets. That means they lose value over time. So a car that was worth 100 grand 5 years ago may be worth 10 grand today, depending on how well you took care of the vehicle. Your car is an asset, but it's worth less today than it was last year. It's worth less than it was last year. And depending on what kind of car it is, as soon as you buy it, motherfucker is worthless the day that you bought it. But its value to you is tactical. It's utility. So you have to be realistic and use the current market value, what you could actually sell it for today, not what you paid for it originally. Think of your, and then when you're looking at the actual value of your vehicle, you want to kind of overstate the mileage because it's going to be the condition of your vehicle. So be realistic. Don't make it seem like your vehicle is in mint condition when you have stains on the seat, rips and tears inside of the interior, dents, rust, everything like that. Be realistic about what you would gauge this car as in its condition, then kind of overstate the mileage a little bit, and then go to Kelley Blue Book and see what somebody would sell that car for as a non-dealer. That's how much your car is worth. And a lot of times it's lower than you think. Or if you really want to find out, you could take your car to a Carfax and they'll give you a free estimate of the value of your car. And if you're willing to sell it, they'll buy it from you. Michael says it's worthless when you drive it off the lot. Exactly. More often than not, it is worth very little, if nothing at all, as soon as you take it off the lot. And that is not considering when you buy it. That is when you drive it off the lot for the test drive. It's technically worthless, but it's definitely less in value because it's been driven. So think of your assets as a team you're building. Cash is your goalie, defending against emergencies. Real estate is your solid defense, and your investments are your star forwards, always trying to score the points that will win you the game. Oh yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. You never buy a new car. And right now in 2025, you really don't want to buy a new car because due to the tariffs, the new cars are upward of $3,000 to $10,000 higher in value than last year's model. You would do better buying a 2023 in 2025 or buying a 2024, no newer than 2024 in 2025. And then even in 2026, you might do better looking for a 2019 or a 2020 in 2026 because the 2025s are not going to go down in value like talking about it. Especially when you're starting out. If this is your first car, you want to get you a $5,000 or $10,000 cash up front car. That's it. You don't want to do a brand new 0 miles. You don't want to do a new car. You want to get you something that's got 50 to 150,000 miles on it and ride it till the wheels fall off. That's what you want to do. Your first car, you want to get something with 100 to 150,000 miles on it in good mechanical condition and ride it till the wheels fall off. By the time that car stops running for you, you will have made every mistake you can make in a car before you go and get a car that's expensive where the damage on that car is worse. Michael's also right. Get a car that has no computer. Y'all know these electric cars out, they can turn the car off and repossess your vehicle without even coming to your house. Tesla can shut down the vehicle if they want to. They don't, but they can. They can deactivate your car from their network if they get pissed off at you. They don't, but they can. Your car functions off of their network. And if they sever your car from their network, your car doesn't function anymore. It is not a standalone vehicle. It is integrated into a system. That's why it works so well. So just like if you disconnect your laptop from the internet, if you disconnect your Tesla from the Tesla system, your Tesla is a piece of shit. Get you a car that is a standalone function, which means you're really buying a 2005, 2004, a 1980s model, 1990s model, something that is completely operating on its own functions, which, by the way, those vehicles don't have GPS trackers in them. You got to put one in them, which makes it harder for you to be tracked and found. Those vehicles don't operate off of the same grid that the newer model vehicles with the nav systems in there. So nobody can tell where your car has been, because your car is not going to snitch on you, because a nav system shows the GPS location of everywhere your car has been since you've been in possession of the car. So really, for those of you that are, I guess they call them Gen Alphas now, anybody that's not a Gen Xer that was born after the internet, if you want to live the life that we used to live, where you only was found when you want to be found, you want to get you a car that has no other stuff in it. Oh yeah, your phone has trackers too. Your phone does have a tracker to it. But see, the thing is that you can leave your phone at home and get into your 1969 DeVille, or you can leave your phone at home and you can jump into your 1982 Geo Metro and nobody know where you are. But if you get into your 2022 Chevy Caprice, they know where the fuck you at. You get into your Hellcat, they know where you at. You get into any car with a navigation system in it, they know where you at. You got that Cadillac Escalade, they know where you at. You get you a Hellcat, they can hear you coming and they know where you at. That's what I'm talking about. American Pacers, yeah. So you want to make sure that you want to get something that I know this sounds stupid, but think zombie apocalypse. What car would require the least amount of effort to function if society broke down? That's the kind of car you want to have as a backup, if not as a primary, because if society shuts down, and it's not like, zombies come out of nowhere, but think about when Florida was flooded. Think about when New York had no power. Think about when Louisiana didn't have no power for 3 months. In those societies, if you have no power in the city for months, how is your smart car, how is your Tesla going to go anywhere? Soon as you run out of power, that's it. You walking from then on. You're going to have to tow your Tesla with a gas power vehicle, because you don't have any power for anywhere, unless you have a backup solar panel system attached to your Tesla. Once it runs out of power, you have nowhere to charge it. Remember to like and subscribe, as he was saying. Like, subscribe, and mash those reaction buttons so that the algorithm can see us today. But yeah, get something that's practical. Get something old school. Find a car that's older than you are. Find a car, y'all youngins, y'all Gen Zs, y'all Gen Alphas. Go find you a car that's older than your mama and daddy. That's what you do. Go buy that motherfucker. Have at least one car that's old enough to be your daddy, and then get you one car that's your age. So y'all 16, 18, 20 years old, go find you one car that's 40 years old and one car that's 15 to 20 years old. Buy both of them, and you will not steer yourself wrong, because both of them motherfuckers gonna be cheap. The 40-year-old car is going to be like $3,000 to $5,000. The 10 to 15-year-old car is going to be like $5,000 to $10,000, and you will have two cars, fully functional, completely mechanical. You can fix it yourself, and you would have spent less than $20,000 on two cars. or old enough to be your granddad. Well, hold on, babies having babies. If they 15, granddad is 45. So between 45 and 50. And from 2020, if you buying a 1980s model, that's about 40 years right there. You know, so if you buying a 60s model, a 60s or 70s model, you starting to get into collectibles, you starting to get into classics. And I'm not gonna lie, they got some out there. They got some out there on Fowler Avenue. Matter of fact, they got some of those Shelbys out there for $5,000 and $10,000. Old school cars, 1978, 1968. Yeah, they out there. He said, I'm in the wrong room. My gym teacher in junior high school had crazy jugs. Okay. I wasn't expecting that one. I thought he had a crazy Jag. I was about to say, oh, yeah, I remember the Jaguars from back in the day. But no, he's talking about a gym teacher. He's got an anime teacher. But let's take a closer look at the liabilities, because we got a lot of stuff we're going to be covering today. The anchors on your wealth. Now, that's what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about the other side of this equation, which is the liabilities. These are the anchors on your wealth. Liabilities are all of your debts. So they are the anchors weighing you down, but not all debt is created equally. It helps to think of them in two camps: good debt and bad debt. Bad debt is destructive debt. This is the kind of debt you want to get rid of as fast as you can. It's usually high interest debt you took on to buy stuff that goes down in value. Credit card balances. This is one of the first ones. This is absolutely the worst one to have, with interest rates often over 20%. Carrying a credit balance is like trying to swim with an anchor tied to your feet. You don't want to do that. It's actively working against your every single investment and every single profit. You do not want to maintain high interest credit card balances. You want to pay those down as quickly as possible. Personal loans. You have personal loans and payday loans. These usually carry high interest rates that make them incredibly hard to escape from. And a lot of people who are utilizing these have a revolving door because they borrowed money they didn't have to pay a bill, and now they have to pay more money than they borrowed in order to clear the debt, which leaves them with less money than what they had to start with in order to cover more bills than what they had money for, which forces them to go back out and borrow that money again, keeps them in a revolving door of borrow, where they're now more often than not, giving a large percentage of their paycheck to the payday loan to keep that revolving door of borrow going. Got to break the cycle. Michael said, all debt to me is bad, but you're right, 28% based on 28-day cycle, 13 months on a year. Yeah. If you're doing a 28-day cycle, if you charge it the day after the billing cycle starts, so right after the bill is produced, the day after that, if you charge everything to the card, that gives you 3 weeks to pay that motherfucker off. Within 21 days of all purchases, you want to pay them off, but you want to make sure that they're paid off 3 business days, not including weekends and holidays, before the end of the billing cycle. That way, at the end of the billing cycle, it is registering a $0 balance. You will not get hit with interest on that. Some people call their dads and read the back of your. So there's a pamphlet that comes on your credit card, because on the back of your credit card, it's just a phone number to call. But there's a pamphlet that comes with your credit card, and that's what he's talking about right now. Michael's saying, read the back of your card. If you read the terms and conditions of the card, you see what your interest rates are. You see what your rollover dates are and all this other stuff. You get that information, and then you spend your money wisely. But mama used to always say, never charge your credit card what you didn't have in cash to pay for, because when it's time for you to cover that debt, you want to cover that debt before they start tacking interest onto you. Now, high interest car loans. This is something that we all throw ourselves into. While you might need a car, financing a luxury vehicle you can't really afford saddles you with a huge liability for an asset that's dropping in value every day. You do not want to run out there and go and buy yourself a limited edition, black edition Lincoln town car. What you want to do is get yourself like a Honda Civic or a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry or a Celica or a Corolla or a Nissan Maxima or something like that. You want to get something cheap. Get something with good mileage on it. He said, don't go blindly into the dark. Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're spending responsibly on that. Now, good debt. Leveraged debt is good debt. And this might sound weird, but some debt can actually help you build your wealth if you use it smartly. Good debt usually has low interest rates and is used to buy an asset that's expected to grow in value or produce income. A mortgage can be a good debt. It is a huge liability, probably the biggest one you'll ever have, but it allows you to buy a very valuable asset, which is a house, that will likely be worth more in the long run. You're using the bank's money, leverage, to get control of a larger asset. Student loans. This one can be controversial, but student loans can be good debt if the education you paid for leads to much higher lifetime income, and it's an investment in yourself. Now, student loans, when used correctly, any money that you don't need on your college education, if you invest those student loans into high interest accounts, you will turn profits on your student loans before you have to pay them back. Then when you start paying them back, when you get out of school, you will be paying your student loans back off of your stock options, which again is a tax deduction. People don't think about that. Good advice. Go to the bank. Talk with the manager, and they will write you a promissory note of value, just like cash. That'll get your ass in the door with locking down the house. That's old school stuff right there, y'all. That is old school stuff right there. Not too many people know about them promissory notes. Business loans, just like a mortgage, a business loan is a liability. You take on this business loan to buy or grow an asset, which is your business, that can generate income and grow value. Business loans are more effectively utilized when you're taking out a business loan on a real business that is generating income, not a shell corporation that is just a business name and a tax ID number that you utilize to exploit for business benefits. The key isn't to have zero debt, though that's a fine goal to have. The key is to manage it wisely, getting rid of the bad while strategically using the good to grow your asset column faster. Now, here's an analogy. Imagine your financial life is a hot air balloon. Your assets or your investments, your home equity, are the fire that lifts you higher. Your liabilities, which is your credit card debt, your car loans, are the sandbags weighing you down. To fly, you have two choices: turn up the flame to generate more hot air and increase your assets, or cut the sandbags, lose or decrease the liabilities, and be able to soar. The most successful people do both at the same time. Now that you have a clear picture of the assets and liabilities, we can finally put it all together and reveal the simple formula that shows your true wealth. This number is called your net worth. The formula is the total assets minus the total liabilities equals your net worth. That is the simplistic way to understand this. The one number is the most honest financial report card you will ever have. So paying attention to this is something that you can do for yourself. Cut through all the noise, your income, your job title, where you live, and tell you the simple truth of where you stand right now. A positive net worth means you own more than you owe. A negative net worth means you owe more than you own. And the goal of your entire financial life can be boiled down to one mission, making this number go up consistently over time. He said, or go to work, you're broke. That could be the case. My net worth is $1. Well, it's still positive. If you own your own house, you own your own car, you standard of living is covered, and you have $1 over the maximum quantity of debt that you got going on, you're still in the green. I would be trying to invest in different ways to bring that money up a little bit higher, but you're still in the green. So let's actually do this. Let's walk through a real example. We're going to calculate the net worth of a person we'll call Roman. You should do this for yourselves. Grab a piece of paper or open a spreadsheet and follow along with your own numbers. Hold on. What? How could you see me? Last Friday, I was on this podcast. All right, let's get rid of you. I'm richer than most. You right, because you don't owe anybody anything. You're richer than most. You don't have to have millions of dollars anywhere in order to be rich. You have to have more than what you need in order to be seemingly rich, because you don't need for anything. A hood rich is a broke person that has everything he or she needs because the society that they live in takes care of them. An individual that could be a multimillionaire like MC Hammer and don't have enough to survive goes bankrupt, loses it all, because they have more money that they owe than stuff that they have. So let's start with step one. List and add up all of Roman's assets. So we need a full list of everything that Roman owns, and that has a value. We're going to be using it to in current market values. So cash and equivalents. Let's say his checking account is $3,500. His high yield savings account, which is his emergency fund, is $1,500, and that's going to give him a subtotal of $1,850. Right? His investment accounts, he has a 401k with $85,000, a Roth IRA with $25,000, and then he has taxable brokerage accounts where that is $40,000, which gives him a total of $150,000. Now his real estate, got his primary house, is valued at $420,000, and his valuable personal property, such as his car, which Kelly Blue Book, is $18,000. Jewelry is about $5,000, subtotal about $23,000. Now we add all of this stuff up, and we have a total asset of about $611,500. That's the total quantity of assets that he has. Now let's list and add up Roman's liabilities. Next, listing every single dollar Roman owns, and you have to be honest with yourself here. Check your last statement for the exact payoff amounts. Good debt, he has a mortgage of $280,000. Student loans balance about $35,000. Subtotal $315,000. Bad debt, You got a car loan like $10,000, credit cards like $7,500, subtotaling $17,500. You take the bad debt, put it with the good debt, you got about $332,500. Now you apply the net worth formula to this particular hypothetical scenario. This is the moment of truth. His $611,500 of assets versus his $322,500 of total liabilities gives him a net worth of $279,000. So Roman's net worth is $279,000. This number is Roman's real wealth score. So it doesn't matter if Roman makes $100,000 a year or $50,000 a year. After all the debts are paid off, this is the true value of Roman's financial life. And this is the starting line. Michael said, real assets, things you can put your hands on. That's a good thing. Yes, sir. That is correct. You're not looking at fictitious hypotheticals. You're looking at stuff that you can actually touch, stuff that you can actually hand to somebody else and make you a profit off of. Old school. Now, just take a moment. If you followed along with your own numbers, you have your own net worth. How does it feel to see it? For some, it might be a pleasant surprise. For others, it might be a shock, especially if it's negative. Whatever you feel, that's okay. The number isn't a judgment of your character. It's just a data point. It's you are here on the financial map, and it's the most powerful tool you now have to start making real progress. Okay. We just walked through the entire calculation, and this number, your net worth, is the single most important number in your financial life. If you're finding this kind of clarity valuable, I want you guys to do me a quick favor and hit the like button and subscribe on all of the channels, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. It's a small click for you, but it's a real help for the channel. We're going to be able to reach and empower more people who need to hear the messages that we've got to offer for you guys on the channel. He said, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. That's a good saying. I used to hear that from grandma way back in the day. So you have your number, whether it's 500,000 or a negative 50,000. The first question everyone asks is that good? That's a tough question because wealth is personal, but there are some really useful ways to give your number some context and see where you stand. First, your net worth is just a snapshot in time. It's one frame in the movie of your financial life. The most important thing isn't the number today, but the direction it's headed. A 25-year-old with a negative net worth of $20,000 because of student loans, but who is saving and investing aggressively, is probably in a much better long-term spot than a 55-year-old with a $200,000 net worth who isn't going anywhere. The trend is more important than the total. So with that in mind, there's a great benchmark from Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, who wrote the legendary book, The Millionaire Next Door. After studying self-made millionaires for decades, he came up with a simple formula to estimate what your net worth should be based on your age and income. You're going to love this. The formula is expected net worth equals your age times your pre-taxed annual household income divided by 10. I'm going to say that again. And actually, I'm going to put this formula into your comment section so that you guys can grab it and put it towards whatever you guys got going on to see if this is, if you like the values that you have. So your expected net worth is equal to your age times your pre-tax annual household income divided by 10. Okay. Now let's use Romans again. Say Roman is 40 years old and has the household income of $110,000. His expected net worth is 40 times 110,000 divided by 10. If we did that, it would be 4.4 million divided by 10, which is 440,000. Now we compare Roman's actual net worth, 279,000, to the expected net worth of 440,000. In this case, Roman is below the benchmark. Dr. Stanley used this to put people into two groups: prodigies, accumulators of wealth. These are people who actually net worth way higher than expected. They are masters at turning income into wealth. And under accumulators of wealth, where these are people who net worth is below the benchmark. They might have a high income and a nice lifestyle, but they aren't effectively building wealth. Yeah. So based on the method, the man is supposed to have $400,000. Well, 440,000, or if you're looking at the accumulation of inflation, it'd probably be about 400,000. But he is supposed to have that instead 200,000 or 160,000 less than what he's supposed to have, which he can fix that. If you find out you're an under accumulator, don't worry. This isn't a final grade. It's a diagnosis. It just shows that your financial habits could be improved. It's also worth noting this formula works best for people over 30, since younger folks haven't had much time to build assets. But there's another way to look at wealth that's less about dollar amounts and more about freedom. This comes from Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he defined wealth by time, asking, if you stopped working today, how long could you survive? Work more hours, invest more money, spend less money, invest more money, generate more wealth so that you won't have to work as much. The formula for your wealth score based on if you quit working now, how long would your money last you? For this formula, your wealth score in months is equal to the total liquid assets divided by the monthly living expense. This is a very interesting formula. The quantity of total liquid assets, not liquidatable assets, liquid assets, cash or stuff that can be made into cash, and how long would that money last based on your lifestyle, your financial lifestyle. This formula intentionally ignores assets that aren't easy to turn into cash, like your house or your 401k. You might be able to sell all of your cash stocks on Friday and have the cash by Monday, and that's part of your liquid assets, cash in the bank account, stuff to that effect. But if you've got a Mona Lisa or a Fabergé egg in your basement, that's not something that can quickly turn into cash. Money on hand, definitely. Anything that could be attributed to money on hand in a limited period of time, cash on hand. Focus on your real world freedom here. So let's calculate this for Roman. If Roman's liquid assets are the cash in the checking and savings accounts, which is $18,500, let's say his total monthly bills and mortgage with the cars, grocery, etc., is $5,000. His wealth score would be $18,500 divided by $5,000, which is about 3.7 months. This shows the total difference and maybe more critical side of Roman's financial health. While Roman has a net worth of over $250,000, the reality is that if the paycheck stopped, the current lifestyle would only last for less than 4 months. If we were to go one step further and liquidate the stock options, because if I remember correctly, Roman had about $40,000 worth of stock options, he would be able to gain an extra 8 months off of liquidating the stock options, which would ultimately give him approximately 1 year, 1 month, and 7/10 of a month. That's like the furthest he's going to get. Because once you got to start selling your house and selling your car, you start depriving yourself of considerably bare necessities in America. And Michael said at least 1 ounce of gold. That's true. You should be getting, depending on how much money you're making in your stocks and investments, you should be able to take a little bit of money and get yourself some gold billiards. You should be able to go and grab yourself some gold billiards, buy them by the ounce, and then put them away. And when times start getting tough and cash is not always readily accepted, gold is accepted all over the world. So if you've got a bunch of gold coins or gold billiards, get your little Corona pouch full of real gold coins, you know. Else when you can't withdraw cash from your ATM machine. Now, recognizing what's going on, this shows the dangers of having your wealth tied up in things you can't easily spend, like your house, without enough cash and income producing investments. So Kiyoski's whole philosophy is that true assets are things that create passive income, money that comes in every month without you trading your time for it, like from rental properties or dividend stocks. His ultimate measure of wealth is when your monthly passive income is more than your monthly expenses. At that point, you don't have to work anymore. You're free. And that's what I strive to get us to every time we come to the show talking about where we're going to put our money. And he said, I bought mine at $200 per ounce. Gold is no longer $200 per ounce. Gold was last seen at $3,700 per ounce. You would do better buying silver at $34 an ounce. And when silver, undervalued, explodes and matches gold because they have the same demand ratio, if you're buying silver at $34 an ounce, eventually silver will be at the same value as gold, and then you will have 10 times more value in silver than what you have right now. I'm going to tell you I told you so when we get there. So what does that number mean? It's your overall scorecard. Stanley's formula tells you how well you're playing the game compared to others. And Kiyoski's formula tells you how close you are to actually winning. Use all three to get a full picture of your financial life. So you get the problem, you know the problem, or you know the formula, and you have your number, and you know what it means. Now, for the most important part, what do you do with it now? How do you intentionally and relentlessly increase your net worth? It all comes back to the simple formula. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. There are only two things you can do to make that number go up. You can increase your assets or decrease your liabilities. The real magic happens when you do both at the same time. So, lever one, aggressively increase your assets. Growing your assets is the offensive of building wealth. This is how your score points and Focusing on acquiring assets that are assets that gain in value or generate income is what you want to look for. Shift your thinking from just saving money to acquiring assets. Every dollar you have should be looked at for its potential to buy something that will grow or pay you, not just something that looks cool or something that makes you smile or something that entertains you temporarily. That's wasteful spending. Spending money on something like, I bought this laptop and this laptop generates revenue. That is buying assets that will make you money. This means you want to prioritize your investment accounts. Automate your investing. The single best habit for building wealth is making it automatic. This allows you to walk away from your investments and not have to look at them anymore. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your IRA or your brokerage account every single month, right after you get paid. This pay yourself first strategy ensures you are consistently buying assets without needing willpower. Start small if you have to, $50 a month, and increase it over time, consistently beating the amount that you had before. Maximize your accounts. If your job offers a 401k match, you have to contribute enough to get the full match. That is a 100% return on your money, guaranteed. You won't find a better deal anywhere. After that, work on maxing out your IRA. He said, play all eyes on me and I'll donate. No. You can donate regardless. Special shout out to Alan. I am not a podcast that compromises my objectives for a little bit of capital. I actually provide you guys with insight so that you guys can learn something and potentially utilize it to better yourselves. We are on YouTube as well as Twitch and Twitter. If you want to listen to All Eyes on Me, you can always Google it, search it in the search engine, and just jam out to it on the background. But because I'm giving you financial advice that you technically don't have to get from a financial advisor, you can always, well, I'm giving you suggestions because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm giving you suggestions where you can reestablish your own scenario. And then if in the event that you benefit from the stuff that I'm giving you, then you can always donate to the channel and show some love the way some of the other people on the channel has done in the past. And to answer your question, Rickshaw, no, I am not Indian. Buying a bicycle is smart. Buy a bicycle for $20. You can get one for between $20 and $25 in really good condition from your local pawn shop, where they fix the bike before they put it up for sale, because if they don't want to fix the bike, you can buy it for $15 and then you can fix it yourself. He said he bought one for $20, sold it for $170, and then sold a $300 bicycle for $700, all over 100% profit. But you can buy a bicycle and use that bicycle instead of using a car, get you some exercise, except for on rainy days, if you don't like getting wet. You can get yourself a scooter instead of getting yourself a car, wear a helmet, save money on gas, and if you have to get insurance, insurance is very cheap. Now, increasing your income with a purpose, that's going to be the next thing you're going to do. We said income isn't the scoreboard, but it is the fuel. Earning more from a side hustle or a raise is a powerful strategy only if you point that extra income directly at buying more assets. If you get the income, the extra income, and then you waste it, then it's not benefiting you. You're just working yourself to death. If you just let it get soaked up by lifestyle inflation, you haven't gained anything at all. Make a rule: any new extra income goes straight to your brokerage account. That's how you turn income into wealth. He said, your brain is like all of the cool pieces of information from every Joe Rogan episode ever wrapped into one. I greatly appreciate that because I have never taken the time to go and look at Joe Rogan about anything. So the fact that a lot of my information is key information from a lot of different places that potentially sounds like what Joe Rogan would have told everybody means that you're hitting all the right points at the right spot. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe and show support to his channel. Share this information to somebody that you know that need it, because they can learn from this channel as well as make themselves higher valued individuals just by sticking with us. Number two, you want to systematically destroy your liabilities by playing offense in this particular scenario in a fun way, but you need a strong defense. You want to make sure that while building wealth is good, while stacking up your cash is good, you want to make sure that you knock down all of your debts, because your debt to income is always going to hold you back. Yes, that is true. Knowledge is power, and money is the muscle. Money has more influence than anything else. Hold on. Money has more influence than almost anything else, because I think lust has more influence than money. Lust can corrupt you over money. Or they probably go hand in hand. Either way, you want to make sure that you get control under your debts. First thing you want to do, like I told you earlier today, attack the high interest debt, where your number one enemy is the high interest debt, especially the credit cards that are paying you 22% interest on those credit cards, which is a guaranteed way to lose that wealth from the beginning. You have to eliminate this with focus, meaning that you're going to have to put primarily all of your extra capital towards the largest interest rates first, and then while paying the minimum balance on the rest of them, while then taking the extra money that you're no longer putting on the large debt, put that on the small debt, and then pay those down, and keep doing that until you have no debt. The lust of money. Good point. The lust of money. Didn't they have Bone Thugs and Harmony for the love of money? Now, there are two popular ways to do that. The debt avalanche, where you pay minimums on everything but throw every extra dollar at the debt with the highest interest rate, which is what I was just saying. Mathematically, this saves you the most money. There is a debt snowball, which Michael had mentioned earlier tonight, where you pay the minimums on everything but throw everything extra, every extra dollar at the debt with the smallest balance. And once it's gone, you snowball that payment into the next smallest debt. So you can either pay it down from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, or you can snowball it from the smallest debt to the largest debt in order to eliminate total balances quicker and then work your way through to the bigger ones. And this method gives you powerful psychological wins that keeps you motivated, because each time you pay off one, you're stoked to get another one. And which one is better? The one you actually stick to. Pick one and commit to it. Michael, best advice: don't go into debt in the first place. Don't spend more money than you have in the first place. Then you don't got to play catch up. And he's right. You should only spend what you have money to cover. Avoid new bad debt. And this sounds simple, but it takes discipline. It means driving your car for a few more years. It means saving up and paying cash for things instead of putting them on a store card. It means living below your means always. Every dollar you don't promise to a new monthly payment is a dollar you can use to buy an asset. Then you want to track your progress. This is what holds it all together. Calculating your net worth isn't a one-time thing. You have to track it every 6 months or at least once a year. Put it on your calendar. This regular check-in will show you that your hard work is paying off. Seeing that number climb is ultimately motivation and will prove your system is working. So there is plenty of free tools online that can help you automate this. And this two-sided attack, growing assets while destroying liabilities, is the proven path to building real lasting wealth. It's not a secret, it's a system. Smart, he said budget every month. Any of y'all that be watching anime and y'all be seeing them Japanese animes where the dude be sitting there calculating, he want to buy this little pudding cup, and he's looking at the price of the pudding cup versus the price of something else, and he's like, oh man, that's going to take my whole month's allowance, my whole month's budget, because they strict upon themselves, not because they're poor, because they don't want to waste money. And this is the only amount of money that they're allowed to spend. They're allowing themselves to spend. And if they spend that amount, they will not allow themselves to buy anything else until the next billing cycle, till the next time they get paid. This allows them to buy houses, pay everything off, own their assets sooner. If they're working in a group, it allows them to buy things in bulk and then share it. 12 people put in on a house, and then they split everybody's able to live in that house. And then they can work together to buy another house, and then everybody's got a house. It's a whole lot easier when you're one of many than what it is when you're the only one. And Michael said, I want all of you to retire early. I'm with you, Michael. Look, by the time I'm 50, I don't want to have to do nothing other than hang out with y'all on the podcast. I'm telling you, I got 9 years left. Do like the Mexicans, share a car. If you don't know how to live, go find you a Latino friend before they get deported and ask them how they get along with 50 people in one house, because that is how you make it. That is how you make it. You live rough for a short period of time to live good for a long period of time. Knowing the formula is one thing. Having the right mindset to apply it day after day is what separates those who build wealth from those who just dream about it. The math is simple, but our emotions about money are complex. And this is the inner game you have to win. First is the shift from fear to clarity. Look at your net worth for the first time, especially if it's negative. This can be terrifying. Your brain might scream at you, just ignore it. But that feeling of dread comes from uncertainty. Choosing to ignore your finances doesn't make the problem go away. It just gives them more power over you. Calculating your net worth is an act of courage. It replaces that vague, low-level anxiety with cold, hard facts. It turns the monster in the dark into a problem on a piece of paper that you can solve. Knowledge isn't just power, it's a peace of mind. Next, you must master the battle between instant gratification and delayed gratification. We mostly chase instant gratification. Our entire society is built to tempt you with instant gratification. The buy now, pay later notifications, the latest and greatest. It all gives you a quick dopamine hit, but it's a trap that keeps you on the financial hamster wheel. Think about the cell phones. You have a lot of cell phone companies right now that have free trade-ins, and then you get an upgrade. So you've been leasing this phone for 12 months. You're going to trade it in and get you an upgrade. And now you're leasing the upgraded model for 12 months, but you're always leasing the phone. You never own the motherfucker. But for those of us who don't throw a bunch of money around, we might buy one phone and hold on to that bad boy, and we just keep it till it break. We keep it till it stops working on a network. And that phone is way cheaper. I got a Samsung A34 from 2021 that's still rocking. I also got an S24 Ultra that's still rocking. But the fact is that will I trade in that Samsung A34 for an iPhone or a S25? No. As long as the phone works, there's no reason for me to get rid of it. And because it's so old, I took the insurance off of it because of the cost of the deductible is the same price as the cost of replacing the phone. The deductible is like $250. Another phone like this is like $300 unless I buy an unlocked one off of eBay for like $150. Take the insurance off, save money on my insurance bill. Michael says it keeps chaos at the door. Not. What is that? Flagration to whip on self. Ooh, I didn't think about that. And my new phone will be 2 cups and a long string. My dog. Okay, so I remember way back in the day when we used to play telephone, we had them red Solo cups, and we would take a piece of yarn and we would tie a knot on each end of the Solo cup, and you best believe that we would go really far, 2 different sides of the room, 2 different sides, and whisper into the cup and see if the other person hear it. And I tell you what, we were passing messages around until mom got us a walkie-talkie. They get the string off the dang floor. You remember when Nextel had the chirp thing, worked inside of a 50-mile radius? Bro, if everybody you knew was in a 50-mile radius, back when they was charging you 69 cents a minute to talk on the phone, you did not have to make a phone call. All you had to do was chirp your homie. Hey, what you doing? Doing nothing. That's when Boost Mobile came out with that. Hey, where you're at? Oh, I'm over here. Track your friend. Use a GPS signal. Now girlfriends are stalking you at the club. I thought you was at your mama house. Look now. True wealth builders understand that the quiet, delayed satisfaction of seeing their assets column grow is far more valuable than the fleeting thrill of a new purchase. It's the difference between buying cut flowers that look great for a few days and planting a fruit tree that will feed you for a lifetime. You have to consciously choose the tree over and over again. Michael said yes. And 10-inch floppy disk. That's way back in the day. That's way back in the day. Back when Macintosh was called Apple. Way back in the day. When it still had the worm coming out of it, where they took a bite out of the apple and the worm stuck out. Y'all don't know nothing about that. When the only thing that was on it was Lemonade Tycoon. Way back in the day. Look now. This behavior pattern leads to cultivating an abundance mindset over a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is driven by fear. It sees money as a limited resource to be hoarded. This is a person who keeps way too much cash in a savings account just in case, losing to inflation every year. An abundance mindset, on the other hand, sees money as a tool for growth and opportunity, understanding that you build wealth not just by cutting costs, but by investing it in assets that create more value. It's a shift from I can't afford that to how can I afford that? This mindset allows you to take calculated risks like investing in the stock market or starting a business, which are essential for growing your assets column. He said, I'm so cheap. I would take flowers from the cemetery for my date. Bro. Why are you taking the flowers from the cemetery? Why are you not having the date at the cemetery? Call it a soiree. There's tables, there's benches. If you go to the right cemetery, there's free food there, fresh food there, sometimes still hot. Oh man, that reminds me back during Katrina when the people was living in the graveyards after they had dug up the graves. Ah man, that was it's like their house got washed away, so they slept on concrete in the graveyard. Safest place to be, because who's doing a drive-by in the graveyard? You got so much cover there. Fresh food and flowers. Oh boy. Oh boy. Finally, you must embrace patience and consistency. These are two hard things to do with the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. He said, no wonder I am Dingle. We are addicted to stories of overnight success, but the reality of wealth building is that it's boring. It's the result of hundreds of small, consistent decisions made over many years. It's that automatic investment that happens every month, whether the market is up or down. It's the discipline to stick to the plan, even when you don't feel like it. The psychological trick is to build a system so strong that you don't have to rely on willpower. Automate your savings, automate your investings. Let the system do the heavy lifting, because your motivation will come and go, but the system will keep working for you. Winning the inner game means you've built habits that are stronger than your fleeting emotions. And one of the things that's good about the dividend rotation strategy that I was telling you guys about was that if you have half of your money on monthly stocks that's giving you guaranteed payouts, and then you want to trade money with your, or trade stocks in your quarterly stocks with the other half of your money, when you don't feel like it or when the market is down, your money's sitting still generating wealth. When you feel like it and when the market is up, you can make trades and gain more money off of the sale when you're buying low, selling high, in addition to the reoccurring payments every time a stock reaches its ex-dividend date, which increases the fluctuation of your portfolio, giving you a whole lot more gains in a shorter period of time. Michael says the economy is like the ocean tides. It comes in and goes out. And it washed away the other day. That's one of the reasons why we're on a steady climb. So for years, you might have been trying to manage your financial life while looking at it the wrong way. You were focused on your salary, the number in your checking account, or the car in your driveway. Metrics that look good on the surface, but don't tell you the whole story. Today, you've got the real story. So the simplest, unchanging formula of assets minus liabilities equals net worth is the only number that tells you the truth. It is your real wealth score, your financial report card, and your map for the future. But knowing the map isn't enough. You also need the right mindset to navigate the journey. This is about more than just numbers. It is about empowerment. It is about swapping financial anxiety for the clarity that comes from knowing exactly where you stand. It's about having the patience to choose long-term freedom over short-term appearances. You now know that a high income doesn't automatically make you rich. you know that the goal isn't just to save, but to acquire assets that work for you. And now you know the path forward requires both a tactical plan, grown your assets and shrinking your liabilities, and resilient mindset. You need both of those. You have the formula. It's in the comment section. You have the tools. The path to wealth isn't a secret for the rich anymore. It's a system available to everyone. And now that you have the system, the only question left is, what are you going to do with it? He said, even though I have $1, I still live like a poor person. Well, that's the way you're supposed to. You're not supposed to spend more than what you need. So one of the things that I'm going to do is create a simple network tracking spreadsheet that you guys can use and do it on your own calculations with the tracking of your progress. I'm going to be putting that into the membership for those individuals that are interested in it. And you'll be able to access it through the membership. And the first step will be taking control of your finances by documenting everything that you have for yourself, because you're not going to be giving it to me. You're going to be keeping it for yourself, and then checking it and updating it on a regular basis. There should be an app for that. And if you guys are ready to learn how to build those asset columns, you want to check out some of the videos that we've got coming up, because we have tomorrow some of the other places that we can invest in other countries and have other investment opportunities where foreign domestic investments are accepted, and you'll be able to see a big change in how you turn profits. Now, we also covered before some of the best investments for beginners, but we might coming next week, Tuesday, readdress that again to give you guys some insight, if you missed it, as to where you can go and what you can do to bring yourself the courage to start investing. Or you can just follow us every day, every week with the dividend rotation strategy. Like Michael said, make sure that you guys remember to like and subscribe. Off the Play Chess, great program. I highly recommend you subscribe. Good night. Good night, Michael. I wanted to say, because I'm on my way out as well, make sure that, like he said, you like and subscribe. I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Remember that we're here 7 nights a week. We've always got a good topic for you guys. We cover something different every day. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's about money. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it's about fixing yourself. And then Sunday is questions and comments from the fans. Fellas, 75% male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. I do this for y'all to help y'all become higher value men, but the ladies can take this information and apply it to themselves, because this is not gender discriminatory information. Everybody can take this and make themselves financially successful. So just like Michael, make sure that you not only like and subscribe, but also share this information with people that you know that can benefit from it, because this will help you as well as them improve yourselves. And this is probably one of very few places where you're getting all the ins and outs and the scoop and the skinny for free. If you benefit from it financially and you throw something to the channel, you're voluntarily donating to the channel, where you're getting more from this podcast than you probably would from a church. And they're demanding 10%. Mr. Sapp locking y'all into the congregation, talking about some can't nobody leave till he hit 40K. Nah, y'all can slide through and we can learn how to make ourselves rich, and y'all just get the free money glitch just by coming to the channel and seeing where to put the capital at, and we'll all get rich together. It is what it is. Make sure y'all stay tuned, because I'm going to be giving y'all updates to the dividend rotation strategy. I'm going to be telling you the stocks later this week that we're going to be buying and selling as we move through July. And then I'll be curating the list for August, giving you guys options as to where to put the money for August, so that you know exactly how many profits you're going to be pulling off for the month of August. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. If it lets me leave.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.